All right, let's just get right into it. In today's explainer, we're unpacking something literally paradigm shifting. If you've ever stopped and wondered if there's more to existence than just random chemical reactions happening in a cold, dead void, well, this framework is going to change everything for you. We're looking at relational quantum process idealism, or RQPI. It basically reverse engineers reality itself, making the case that the universe isn't just a massive collection of empty space, but is actually entirely experiential and vibrantly alive on the inside. You know, for centuries, we've basically been stuck with physicalism, this deeply ingrained assumption that dead, unconscious matter somehow, miraculously, managed to produce the conscious mind. But that model is hitting a massive brick wall. It's what scientists call the hard problem of consciousness. Because, let's face it, nobody can figure out how inert atoms suddenly wake up and start feeling things. RQPI flips this assumption entirely on its head. It argues that consciousness doesn't emerge from matter at all. Instead, consciousness is the fundamental baseline, and it's actually creating the illusion of matter. So here's how we're going to rebuild reality today. We'll start with the singular experiencing field, move to the illusion of separation, look at free will and quantum choice, uncover the physical user interface, and then finally bring the whole shebang together into a new unified reality. Okay, part 1, the singular experiencing field. Let's start at the absolute foundation. To really wrap our heads around this, we have to completely toss out the old idea of an empty universe filled with bouncing atomic billiard balls. We're leaning on philosopher Bernardo Kastrup here. Reality actually starts with what he calls mind at large. Think of this not as a physical place, but more like a single, spatially unbound quantum field of pure subjectivity. It's an infinite ocean of experience. At this rock-bottom level, quantum states aren't just cold math equations. They're intrinsically felt as qualia. If you need a quick refresher, qualia just means the raw feel of an experience, like the undeniable redness of a rose or the sharp sting of a paper cut. In this framework, that raw feeling goes all the way down to the quantum bedrock. And you know what's wild? The physics backing this up comes from Federico Faggin. Yes, the Federico Faggin who invented the first commercial microprocessor. He literally built the ultimate physical computing machine. In his framework, quantum information panpsychism tells us the universe is fundamentally a conscious, feeling entity. He asserts that consciousness isn't some biological accident that showed up late to the party. It is the primary existent. The quantum fields themselves actually possess intrinsic awareness and agency. Which brings us to part 2, the illusion of separation. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. It's the massive glaring hurdle in the room. If we're all swimming in the exact same ocean of universal mind, why on earth can't I hear your thoughts? Why are you locked inside your head and I'm stuck inside mine? It's the ultimate skeptical question, right? Because it completely challenges our direct, everyday experience of feeling like entirely separate, isolated beings.
Kastrup has a brilliant answer for this, and he actually borrows the concept from psychiatry. Dissociative identity disorder. Just like a single human mind can fragment into distinct, non-communicating personalities, the cosmic mind essentially compartmentalizes itself. It breaks into localized centers of awareness, or what he calls alters. And these alters are separated by things called Markov blankets. Picture a Markov blanket like a mathematical boundary, or a highly permeable membrane. It creates a strict inside and outside. That boundary is exactly what gives us our highly private inner lives, while we are, fundamentally, still part of the giant whole.
And this maps absolutely perfectly to physicist Arash Zaghi's relational quantum dynamics, or RQD. RQD tells us there is simply no absolute observer-independent reality out there. Instead, those dissociated alters we just talked about, they only exist through their informational exchanges with each other. Fikes are strictly relational. As a quick analogy, think about speed. Speed only exists relative to another object. There's no such thing as absolute speed in an empty void. In the exact same way, observers are basically these highly integrated nodes of information, acting like dynamic whirlpools, just interacting and relating within that one cosmic ocean.
All right, part 3, free will and quantum choice. So, how do these relational perspectives, these whirlpools of consciousness, actually function and create the events of our universe? Federico Faggin gives us a genuinely breathtaking answer here. He calls these conscious quantum fields seities. Now, in standard textbook physics, the collapse of a quantum wave function is treated as entirely random. But Faggin argues that this non-algorithmic collapse is actually the literal exercise of free will. And by non-algorithmic, we mean the universe isn't some pre-programmed machine just blindly running code. The collapse of a quantum wave is a spontaneous, completely unscripted choice. That's what free will actually is at the microscopic level. Conscious fields exercising their agency to collapse probabilities into concrete, actualized experiences.
This idea lines up flawlessly with the process philosophy of Alfred North Whitehead, who famously said that an actual entity is simply a drop of experience. Reality isn't built out of static, solid little substances bouncing off one another. Instead, it's a creative, ongoing process. It's the cosmos constantly knowing itself through these momentary, continuous drops of choice and experience. Moving right along to part 4, the physical user interface. Okay, so this is the make or break question. If reality is really just this dynamic web of quantum mental choices and relations, why does it feel so solid? Why do we see matter, space, and linear time? Well, cognitive scientist Donald Hoffman's interface theory of perception explains this perfectly. Using evolutionary game theory, he proves the fitness beats truth theorem. Long story short, if we actually perceived the true, overwhelming complexity of the quantum realm, it would burn through all our energy and literally get us killed. So evolution stepped in. It crafted our senses not to show us objective truth, but to hide it. Space and physical objects are just 3D icons on a perceptual desktop. Just like your computer desktop hides all the complex code running underneath, our physical senses are essentially a biological VR headset, projecting a simplified dashboard designed strictly to keep us alive. When you take Hoffman's interface theory and merge it with John Obedy's entropic theories and Faggin's physics, a really stunning realization hits you. You start to see why spacetime feels so incredibly rigid compared to our fluid inner minds. See, the inner quantum mind is pure potential. It's ever-changing. But the physical world? The reason it's rigid is because matter is literally the classical thermodynamic memory of the universe. It is the stabilized symbolic record of all those past quantum choices made by conscious agents. The physical world isn't the active living process. It's the footprint left behind. Finally, let's hit part 5, a new unified reality. Let's synthesize all these brilliant insights together, because relational quantum process idealism stacks up into 4 completely seamless steps that solve the whole mind-matter divide. Step 1, the universe is a singular experiencing quantum field, just like Kastrup and Faggin map out. Step 2, to actually know itself, this field dissociates into multiple relational perspectives. That's Kastrup's alters blending with Zaghi's relational quantum dynamics. Step 3, these individual perspectives exercise free will by collapsing quantum potentials into concrete experiences, perfectly aligning Faggin's physics with Whitehead's philosophy. And finally, step 4, to share and remember those experiences, these perspectives project a simplified entropic user interface. And that interface is exactly what we misidentify as the physical universe of space, time, and matter, bringing in Hoffman and Obedy. So what is the massive takeaway here? By merging all these theories, our QPI establishes a universe that looks strictly mathematical and thermodynamically sound from the outside, but is entirely experiential, creative, and purposeful on the inside. Basically, matter is just what mind looks like from the outside. It's the physical rendering of a universe that is at its core vibrantly, fundamentally alive. So I want you to literally look at your own hands for a second. Think about your daily choices. If the physical world is really just a dashboard, just the stabilized memory of past quantum decisions, what true reality is the cosmic mind creating through you right now? You aren't just a tiny, insignificant cog in some cold mechanical machine. You are the universe itself, experiencing, choosing, and creating. It completely rewrites what it means to be alive. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning the nature of your reality.